The Unrecorded Presidency. A secret history of power, conscience, and a choice the world never knew. Artmore, the night after history ended. 2,500 words. The night the presidency ended, silence replaced applause. The motorcade had vanished into the black throat of Pennsylvania Avenue, leaving behind a White House that no longer belonged to him. The flag still flew, the guard still stood. But the power, the real power, had already moved on. Jonathan Hale remained. He sat alone in the Lincoln bedroom, not because of symbolism, but because sleep refused him elsewhere. The walls carried echoes of men who had shaped the world and paid for it in ways history preferred not to remember. Hale removed his cufflinks slowly, placing them beside a leather-bound notebook that had never been catalogued, never logged, and never photographed. It contained no dates, no signatures, only truths written in a hand that would one day tremble. The public remembered Hale as the stabilizer, the former war hero turned president who had navigated America through economic collapse and nuclear brinkmanship without firing a shot. But Hale knew better. Peace had been purchased, and the receipt was buried. The letter that should not exist. At precisely 12:17 a.m., the grandfather clock in the corridor chimed once. A knock followed. 3 soft raps. No aide would knock like that. No Secret Service agent ever would. Hale opened the door himself. A man stood there wearing no insignia, no pin, no sign of authority. His age was indeterminate, old enough to know things, young enough to still act on them. "You broke the sequence," the man said calmly. Hale felt the weight return to his chest. "So did you," Hale replied. The man extended an envelope, unmarked, unsealed. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "The agreement survives the presidency. So does the debt." Hale closed the door without another word. The agreement. History books recorded that during Hale's second year in office, a sudden diplomatic breakthrough prevented a multi-nation war. The world applauded. Stock markets soared. Monuments were planned. The truth had never been written. In a secure underground facility beneath a neutral country, 4 men and 1 woman had sat at a steel table with no flags and no cameras. Nuclear codes were not present. Instead, something far more dangerous was exchanged: permission. The agreement allowed certain borders to remain untouched in exchange for economic silence, intelligence erasure, and the disappearance of a single operation that could have changed global power forever. Hale had signed nothing, but he had agreed. And agreement, he would later learn, was more binding than ink. The woman who warned him. Her name was Eleanor Cross. Officially, she had been a policy analyst. Unofficially, she was the only person in the room who had not been fooled by ceremony. "You're mistaking delay for peace," she told him that night. Hale remembered her words vividly now, years later. "History forgives violence," Eleanor had said. "It never forgives lies that pretend to be mercy." He had ignored her. She resigned 3 days later. Disappeared 6 months after that. The first regret. As dawn crept over Washington, Hale opened the notebook again. On the final page, he wrote a single sentence. "I was elected to lead a nation. I chose to manage the world." The phone rang. It was not connected to any public line. "Mr. President," the voice said, using the title like a warning. "It's time to finish what you started." Part 2, The Ghost Cabinet. Power does not dissolve when an oath ends. It simply finds quieter rooms. Jonathan Hale learned this when he was summoned, not invited, to a meeting that had no location on any map. The men who never retired. They sat around a circular table beneath a ceiling that absorbed sound. No flags, no seals. Just faces, some familiar, some forgotten. A former CIA director, a defense contractor who had never held office, a senator whose obituary had been premature, and Eleanor Cross, alive. "You look disappointed," she said. "I look relieved," Hale replied. "Which means I should be afraid." Eleanor smiled faintly. "Good, you're learning." The truth behind stability. The ghost cabinet, as Eleanor called it, existed to preserve outcomes, not governments. Elections change faces. The agreement preserved direction. You were never meant to be the architect, Eleanor told Hale. You were meant to be the last human conscience in the room. And I failed. No, she said. You hesitated. That's worse to them. The hidden cost. Hale was shown documents he had never authorized. Entire economic collapses engineered to prevent others. Conflicts allowed to burn because their resolution threatened balance. Names erased, not assassinated, simply removed from relevance. This isn't America, Hale said. It's what America protects itself from becoming, someone replied. Hale stood. I won't be part of this anymore. Eleanor looked at him carefully. You already are, she said. The question is whether you'll finally write the ending. Part 3. The choice history feared. To expose the agreement would destabilize alliances, collapse markets, and possibly ignite wars that had been avoided only by silence. To protect it would require one final act of betrayal. Hale was offered a solution. A controlled leak. A manufactured villain. A narrative that preserved the lie while sacrificing a name. His own. The speech that was never broadcast. Hale recorded a message in a private studio. No network would air it. No archive would store it. It would be released only if the system attempted to erase him. He spoke calmly. I am not innocent, he said, but I am responsible. He named no names. He revealed no operations. He did something far more dangerous. He explained why. Eleanor's last stand. They'll bury this, Eleanor warned. Then let it be buried, Hale said. But let it exist. She nodded. For what it's worth, she said. You were the only one who ever asked if we should stop. Partisteur. What history could not contain. Jonathan Hale died quietly 2 years later. Official cause, heart failure. Markets did not react. Governments issued polite statements. History moved on. But somewhere, in a digital archive that was never indexed, a file began to circulate. No names, no accusations. Only a question. What does power owe the people it protects from the truth? Universities debated it. Journalists dismissed it. Students remembered it. And one day, a future leader would read it. Not as confession, but as warning. Epilogue. History records victories. It rarely records restraint. And it never records the moments when someone chose to let the world remain ignorant. Not for control, but for survival. Jonathan Hale was not a great man. But for one moment, he was an honest one.